Hey, what's up, Space Apes? This is Hanley. Thank you so much for watching my channel. I'm gonna get right into it. This is psilocybin can occasion mystical type experiences having substantial and sustained personal meaning and spiritual significance. Let's just break that down. Psilocybin is a psychedelic compound found in the psilocybe mushroom. This study was looking at creating a mystical type experience that had a sustained and substantial long-term personal meaning, spiritually significant effect. Okay, this was done in 2006 at Johns Hopkins University. The leading researcher was Griffiths. Little's known scientifically about its acute and persisting effects, talking about psilocybin. This was a double-blind study. One group of volunteers was given a high dose of psilocybin, and the other group was given a high dose of methylphenidate, that's Ritalin. The point being, an active placebo was utilized so that both groups felt like they were on drugs. The participants were healthy adults who had never taken psychedelics before, and they were all highly educated people. 97% had at least a 4-year degree from a university. 8-hour sessions were conducted individually. The volunteers were encouraged to close their eyes and direct their attention inward. A number of questionnaires and physiological measurements like pulse and blood pressure were used to assess the effects of the psilocybin and the methylphenidate. So psilocybin is a naturally occurring tryptamine alkaloid with actions mediated primarily at serotonin 5-HT2AC receptor sites. It's the principal psychoactive component of a genus of mushroom called psilocybe. Psilocybin mushrooms have been used for centuries, possibly millennia, within some cultures in structured manners for divinatory or religious purposes. The psychological effects of psilocybin, which are similar to other classic synertonergenically mediated hallucinogens such as LSD, mescaline, and DMT. The effects include significant alterations in perceptual, cognitive, affective, volitional, aesthetic functioning, including visual and auditory sensory changes. Early clinical research with psilocybin was conducted in the 1950s and 1960s, and it attempted to study the effects of psilocybin without recognition of the powerful influence of set and setting. In this study that we're looking at, they took special care to provide a safe, supportive, guided environment for the volunteers. They were in an office that had a comfortable couch with artwork. They were given nice music, and they had a guide with whom they had established rapport. In the late 1960s, early 1970s, research with psilocybin and hallucinogenics stopped. This study was an attempt to rekindle those lines of research. Okay, the study design was that psilocybin was given at 30 milligrams per 70 kilograms of body weight, and I calculated that out. That's about a 3 to 4 gram trip for a 150-pound person of dry mushrooms. What else do we have here? The sessions went for 8 hours. It was double-blinded, meaning that the researcher and the participant neither knew which drug was being given. All of the participants were either given methylphenidate once or they were given psilocybin once. Both were given both compounds separately, so 2 different sessions were conducted with each participant. Expectancy, that's what you're expecting to happen in the trip, is widely believed to play a large role in the qualitative effect of a hallucinogen. So the researchers took several steps to try to control expectancy the best they could. While it's not possible to completely eliminate such expectancy effects, it was possible to significantly reduce such effects by studying participants without personal histories of hallucinogen use. By studying only a single participant at a time, and by using experimental design and instructional sets that provided the expectation that sessions could involve not only the administration of a wide range of psilocybin doses, but also a range of novel drugs, some of which could produce effects that would overlap with psilocybin. So they told the volunteers that you could be getting any number of drugs. You could get a very high dose of psilocybin, you could get a very low dose of psilocybin, you could get nothing. So they tried to take away as much of the effects expectancy as possible. So they used a whole bunch of different tests, questionnaires. All of them have been scientifically validated. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they basically assessed the quality of the hallucinogenic experience, the quality of any sort of mystical experience that may have occurred, the level of well-being that was experienced, levels of fear, and then post-study, they did follow-up questions on lingering effects of taking the hallucinogens. You can check out all of this at the csp.org. I'll link in the description. Here they go over the integrity of the blinding process. And down here we've got a little bit more worth discussing. Get into the juice, the results. 33% of the volunteers rated the psilocybin experience as being the single most spiritually significant experience of their life, with an additional 38% rating it to be among the top 5. So that's 71% of participants rated it in at least their top 5 spiritual experiences. No volunteer rated either psilocybin or methylphenidate as having decreased their sense of well-being or life satisfaction. At 2 months after the first session, lifetime mystical experience and spiritual transcendence scores were significantly higher in the group that received psilocybin on the first session than the group that received methylphenidate on the first session. At 2 months after the second session, the scores in the group that received psilocybin on the second session increased significantly on both measures. As expected, because these scores reflect lifetime measures, these scores did not decrease after the second session in the group that received psilocybin on the first session, saying that the effects of the psilocybin were long-lasting, as in terms of changing a person's life. Psilocybin sessions were associated with small but significant positive changes in the participants' behaviors and attitudes, as rated by community observers. These were just friends of theirs in the community that were enlisted to follow, research, if you will, the participants. There was some fear, anxiety, dysphoria, and ideas of reference or paranoia felt by many of the volunteers during the experience. Fear is a common part of the psychedelic experience. Many participants reported mild or moderate anticipatory anxiety at the beginning of the sessions. In post-sessions, 11 of the 36 total volunteers after psilocybin and none after methylphenidate rated on the States of Consciousness questionnaire their experience of fear sometime during the session to be strong or extreme. So 33% had strong or extreme fear. These effects were readily managed with reassurance and did not persist beyond the session. 2 of the 8 volunteers compared the experience to being in a war, and 3 indicated that they would never wish to repeat an experience like that again. So about 10%, 9% said they would never do it again. Despite these psychological struggles, most of these participants rated the overall experience as having personal meaning and spiritual significance, and no volunteer rated the experience as having decreased their sense of well-being or life satisfaction. The present double-blind study shows that psilocybin, when administered under comfortable, structured, interpersonally supported conditions to volunteers who reported regular participation in religious or spiritual activities, occasioned experiences which had marked similarities to classical mystical experiences, and which were rated by volunteers as having substantial personal meaning and spiritual significance. Furthermore, the volunteers attributed to the experience sustained positive changes in attitudes and behaviors that were consistent with changes rated by friends and family. And that about sums it up. You're welcome to come and look at this study yourself. Like I said, it's very, very thorough. It goes on and on. The main takeaway is that these researchers were hoping to establish a baseline for further psychedelic experiences or for research with, they wanted to do a baseline with normal healthy people so that they could start to test the effects on people who were having a few more struggles in their life. If you got this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like to get more videos, and I'll see you soon. Peace.